Myoho Renge Kyo. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Hi, how are you? I hope you're in good health and secure today. Experiencing your shimmering life, yes? All right. I don't know how many of you are old enough to remember this television commercial. Odd way to start a Buddhist podcast, but you remember, how did it go? There's these three little kids, I think they were all boys, about to eat breakfast or some meal, and they weren't sure about it, and they said something about, give it to Mikey, he'll eat anything. It's it's a very simple reminder of how our attitude and our intent is constantly at work. That's samsara. Do we view something as tasty, repulsive, good, bad, happy or sad? Sounds like I'm singing a song now. Sorry. Quite literally. And we generally don't stop and wonder, how can that person dislike this? We do in conversation, right? How can you not like brie? How can why do you love cheddar so much? Okay, get off the cheese. But you know what I mean. I remember having a conversation with my sister's boyfriend, who is really, really comfortable living in Manhattan, New York City. And I was explaining to him that I'm okay with cities. I feel so enclosed pressure in a city like Manhattan, whereas out in the forest, I feel like I can breathe. And he said, I'm exactly the opposite. He said, if I was in a forest, I'd go back up to the nearest tree and I'd feel absolutely out of my element, frightened. And I looked at him, trying to understand his mindset, and he looked at me the same way. And then ultimately, I just laughed. I thought, isn't that curious? What thought upon thought upon thought upon thought upon thought upon thought upon thought, right? Epistemology. What karmic freight am I carrying with me that not so much makes me feel so comfortable in the forest, but that makes me feel uncomfortable anywhere else? Why can't I feel the level of comfort that I was describing in a forest anywhere, right? It's still just me and the environment. Little clue there for our Buddhist practice, yeah? So today we're going to start on, I don't know, we may finish it, but it's a large topic. Of course, we're still staying within the confines of Buddhist reference. So this is a reference. It's not a complete, what to call it, thesis, right? But as we study, as Nichiren doctrine Buddhists, practitioners of the Lotus Sutra method, as taught by Shakyamuni, and insights and assists by our mentor, our modern mentor, right, Bodhisattva Nichiren, we'll come across discussions of Amitabha or Amida or Pure Land, right? Other sects in Nichiren's Goshos, he talks about, well, generally 8 major sects. There were more than that, but those are the major ones he addresses. And Pure Land figures in many Nichiren letters and treatises. So what is this Pure Land, and what am I talking about? Mikey, he likes everything, and forest, city, and all of that. Because when we make assessments about our environment, which is an assessment about how we are in that environment, see, identification, whether it's pure or impure, right? Joyful or frightening, or insert adjective here. All of that's occurring in our mind. Those judgments, those assessments, those discriminations, those identifications, comfortable or uncomfortable, are assessed, are experienced, constructed, conjured in our mind. And so really quite straightforward and simple as it can get. Pure or impure is how you think about it. Not how you feel about it, that comes later. How you feel about it is a product of the discriminations and conjuring and assessments that you make. So, if you'll remember the story of Vimalakirti in the Sutra of his name, Shakyamuni makes it abundantly clear that the pure or impure land is completely a decision accessible to each and every one of us. That going to a pure land isn't a trip that you book on an airline or a cruise. It's a decision that you make, and the land being pure or impure is an indication, a statement of your experience of that land. The land doesn't change. Your environment doesn't change. Nor do you as a physical being. It is your mind. This is why we chant, right? Because when we invoke, we open that Buddha eye, we not so much revisit, but we uncloud the reality that is this amazing, shimmering life. Unclouded by all that noise from our monkey mind, from our samsara mind. We shut it down. Oh, now I see. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Right? Now, having said all of that, what the purpose of this book is to give you enough background so you can see comparatively what is meant when you run across this term Pure Land and how it compares to Lotus method, Buddha eye, Gohonzon mind of clarity. The Pure Land is simply the land you are in or of right now, except that it is experienced from the Dharma experience of Buddha or enlightenment. In other words, the land, quote unquote, is a reflection of your mind state. I guess I could have just read that instead of all that blah, blah, blah. From the moments that Siddhartha Gautama of the Shakya clan roamed the streets outside of the castle walls, and he first had the thought of altering the stress, anxiety, and sufferings of the poor and various castes of people he encountered, his mission was clear. Siddhartha would set out on a 12 years journey to find an ultimate truth. This truth, if properly understood and practiced, was to provide any sentient being with the highest possible quality of life, irrespective of their current conditions or circumstances. Humans have all essentially the same needs. So how could it be that he, Siddhartha, should live a life of security and comfort while all the various people surrounding him should be in such misery and difficulties? Surely there must be a way to bridge this experience in order to live this life to its maximal potential and ease. Right? Some branches or school of Buddhism have completely buried and forgotten this central tenet of Shakyamuni's intent and preoccupied themselves with the elaborate stories of Amitabha Buddha and the eventual arrival at his Pure Land. For this, it was easy to take the consistent cultural threads of religion and craving and clinging to ideas of afterlife, to structure their doctrine of a future rebirth that would take place in this mythical construct of a Pure Land of Amida Buddha, not understanding that that's a door in one's own mind. We call it Gohonzon, right, through Nichiren. If they only could have seen in their own mind the Amida Buddha mind of enlightenment, then maybe they could be excused for their rhetoric. But they dragged along ancient traditions of reincarnation and just... this is a cult of the body, just like so many other religions, if not all. This afterlife obsession is so convenient. The pragmatic practices of Shakyamuni for this life, explicit in the Noble Eightfold Path and throughout his teachings into the perfection of wisdom, etc., were simply converted into multiple lifetimes of practice using a keenly unenlightened understanding of the cycle of birth, death, rebirth. And you can see the first volume, or you can look that up in this very volume, yes? On the topic of Amida Buddha, Dharmakara, it is believed, attained Buddhahood and is known as the Buddha Amitabha, or in Sanskrit, infinite light, in Chinese, Emituofu, in Japanese, Amida, or the Buddha Amiteyas, infinite lifespan, not infinite lives, infinite lifespan. Because when you start to experience something fully, time has no measure. You ever notice that? When you have a truly wonderful time, usually the first time we experience that, we're children and we forget it. But as we enter adulthood, it's usually the first time we fall, quote unquote, into love. And those times we spend together just seem incredibly brief and infinite at the same time, right? He is flanked in the Pure Land he created in fulfillment of his vows by Avalokitesvara, right, on his left, and Prapta, on his right, who assist Amitabha in bringing the resolveful to salvation. All of this is understandable in this one lifespan. Why it had to be interpreted by these sectarians as meaning multiple lives, it breaks the brain. But this is the power of traditions and samsara, right? Religion is a samsaric construct. I apologize if you notice me blinking a lot. My eyes are very dry. By the 3rd century CE, and that should be capitalized, the Amitabhist doctrine had spread from India to China, where a school based on it gradually became the most popular form of Buddhism, because it's easy to play mystical, magical mystery tour. It's hard to be real. People love their magic, especially back then. No different today, though. Followers of the Tendai school took Amitabha's teachings to Japan, where they attempted to weld the many sects of Buddhism into one system. Oh, what a crime. By the 13th century CE, the Pure Land sect had separated from the Tendai school and spread among the common people of Japan through the work of 2 outstanding figures, Honen and Shinran. And if you want more on those, look into Nichiren's Goshos, use a search term of Honen or Shinran, and you'll find. You can look in the errors of 8 schools, 8 sects. Yeah, that's a good one. But there are many. We have read several Gosho of Bodhisattva Nichiren that calls into question many doctrines of the Pure Land school. From online, the Pure Land across many traditions, lifted from Wikipedia as a source. Buddha Field redirects here. For the American cult, see Buddha Field Cult. An interesting way to start, yes? For pure abodes or realms, in Buddhist cosmology, see Pure Abodes, Japanese copy of the Pure Land Taima Mandala, which depicts Sukhavati, the most popular Pure Land destination in East Asian Buddhism, hanging scroll from 1750. Pure Land is the concept of a celestial realm. A celestial realm. It's heaven. Come on, people. Of a Buddha or Bodhisattva in Mahayana Buddhism where many Buddhists aspire to be reborn in. See, this is just reincarnation all over again. The term Pure Land is particular to East Asian Buddhism, Chinese pinyin Jingtu, and related traditions. Traditions, in other words, religion. In Sanskrit, not to say that we don't have our traditions. Let me be clear here. I'm saying in the context of Pure Land and these kinds of sects that rely on endless rebirths and magical, mystical thinking. Traditions are these traditions of magical thinking. That is, shall I say, the holy ground, quote unquote, of religion. There is only one holy ground, quote unquote, in true Buddhism. Certainly, we know from Nichiren that it is nowhere outside this flesh and blood body. It is in the mind where we decide whether we suffer or we enter the blissful moment of living. In Sanskrit Buddhist sources, the equivalent concept is called the Buddha field, or more technically, a pure Buddha field. The various traditions that focus on attaining rebirth in a pure land have been termed Pure Land Buddhism. Pure Lands are also evident in the literature and traditions of Taoism and Bon. So there's some more traditions for you. You can see why China was very curious to find out more about Buddhism, because they had already figured out in their ancient cultures many ideas of relationships of the physical world and human to physical world, environment, human, self, and other. Taoism, Confucianism, so on. Finally, one of the many sutra where a pure land is discussed and clearly stated is the Vimalakirti Sutra. In this sutra, the non-dual nature of the land as it is perceived is definitely stated to be the same land experienced by the unenlightened versus the enlightened mind. There you have it. Your life experience in samsara is an impure land. They're thus suffering. Once you awaken the Buddha mind, open the Buddha eye via Gohanzon mind, right? Straight line, and experience your life as it moves, as you witness the momentum of life, the verb. No longer is the land impure, because the cosmos itself, there is no greater land. It's amazing. It's all amazing, all happening in concert, one with the other, all the time. The Vimalakirti Nirdesa is a Buddhist text which centers on a lay Buddhist practitioner who attained a very high degree of enlightenment, considered by some second only to the Buddhas, or Shakyamuni. It was extremely influential in East Asia, but most likely of considerably less importance in the Indian and Tibetan subtraditions of Mahayana Buddhism. The word Nirdesa in the title means instruction or advice, and Vimalakirti is the name of the main protagonist of the text and means taintless fame. The sutra teaches, among other subjects, the meaning of non-dualism, the doctrine of the true body of the Buddha, the characteristically Mahayana claim that the appearances of the world are mere illusions, and that the superiority of the Mahayana over other paths. It places in the mouth of the Upasaka, the lay practitioner, Vimalakirti, a teaching addressed to both arhats and bodhisattvas regarding the doctrine of sunyata, emptiness. In most versions, the discourse of the text culminates with a wordless teaching of silence. Translator Burton Watson argues that the Vimalakirti Nirdesa was likely composed in approximately 100 CE, Common Era. This is around the time of Nagarjuna, right? The pure land is in the mind. From the first chapter of the Vimalakirti, the youth ask how the Buddha field can be purified. The Buddha field, it's the environment, including our mind, that we live in, our experience of the Saha world, right? So how can this experience, where Buddha potential exists constantly, right, throughout the cosmos, we've talked about this, the engine of life. The Tathagata is the potential for the instantiation of Buddha mind. Awareness of the engine of life, of itself. That's the Buddha field, is the cosmos. We certainly are in the cosmos, are we not? The Buddha responds that the Buddha field is pure when the mind is pure. Duh! This line was one source of a whole line of interpretation in pure land thinking in the latter East Asian tradition. Yeah. Again, look to Nichiren for more on that. The Buddha Kshetra is also equated with various other exalted categories in the Mahayana, such as the 6 perfections, or the 4 illimitables, or noble dwelling places, the Brahma Vihara, or Brahma Vihara, I'm not sure. Because Shariputra is unable to see this purity, the Buddha performs a temporary state of enlightenment that displays it to Shariputra's mind briefly. Remember when the light would come from Shakyamuni's brow or his top knot? When he shared the experience of Buddhahood, just to give people a taste of what it's like to be freed from samsara, right? One implication of this scene is that our Saha world, the Buddha Kshetra, or the Buddha land of Shakyamuni, is in fact as glorious as all other Buddha worlds, but our defilements, samsara, prevent us from correctly seeing it as such. Keep restating the same thing. And that's it for the entry in Buddhism Reference. I hope that's enough to whet your appetite. Maybe do more research. Maybe read the Vimalakirti. Refuge, taking refuge. That'll be our next video. And then Sadharma Pundarika Sutram. Samadhi. Yeah, we have a few more. Sarira, save or rescue. Secret. 7 jewels. Oh, that'll be a good one. Single-mindedly contemplate Buddha. That's one of my favorites. Anyway, that's to come. I hope this was useful. If not to completely secure your idea on what it means, the Pure Land is simply your perception of your life's momentum and all life momentum, right? Conjoined, the same thing at the same time. And if not, that it at least whet your appetite for the Vimalakirti. Further research for you. All of these kinds of things kind of flow through my mind when I set myself up in front of my altar to chant. And then when I commit to chanting, as I've discussed in presence at the Buddhism video and podcast, my thinking shifts to being in that floating ceremony in front of the treasure tower and simply instantiating Buddha. Everything washes away. Life becomes amazing. A shimmering life. To keep it shimmering throughout the day in our Saha world, that is our challenge. Dare we do it? Thanks again. Thanks for your practice. Thanks for being here. I guess I'll add it once again just to see if any of you are interested. This little, I don't know, not really a promo, but, I demonetized everything on this channel because commercials, they just get in the way of our learning, our experience, our engagement in our conversation. But I'm totally reliant on you guys now. So you've always been the major source of my inspiration and financial capacity to do this, to keep this going. So thank you. Just a minute or two of discussion on the join proposition on the channel and how that works. Not a requirement, but if that's an easier channel for you to use, an easier method for you to use to access and support this endeavor and all of the website, the bookstore, all of it. Namo Myo Renge Kyo. Thank you so much for participating. In the meantime, like and subscribe. That doesn't cost anything, and it really, really affects the algorithms. So I appreciate that, and I'll see you next time. Take care of your health. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Bye for now. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Hi, everyone. I hope you'll indulge me just a couple of moments here of your time to make a quick announcement. As you know, I've worked over decades and over the last decade building this channel with thousands of videos of lessons and insights and instruction. And I have a website to match it with lots of free information. There's free podcasts. There's the bookstore. There's the mandala store. The whole mission here is to support your practice and build your confidence daily for manifesting your maximum potential. Yes? In that regard, I decided recently to demonetize my videos because, quite frankly, how can you pay attention and focus and be motivated to practice Buddhism when you're constantly being barraged by commercials? So, no more, right? Although it wasn't, because of the size of our Sangha and the way YouTube works now, it's not nearly as supportive as it used to be. So that's another reason why bother, right? But YouTube has come up with another way to help support, and I thought I would give it a try and see if it's not obtrusive, and see if you guys would participate or enjoy this avenue towards supporting the Sangha and all these resources. And that is a join button. And so you'll see that really soon. It'll pop up. And when you join, there's 4 different levels of joining, whatever. And, by simply being here, you're a part of the Sangha. You don't have to pay a membership fee or any of that. This is just an option. And as a thank you for committing to a donation, a regular donation, I will send you a PDF copy of, depending on the level, 1, 2, 3, 5 books. And that could include a TIFF or a PDF high resolution of a Nichiren inscribed mandala, but also the liturgy, the Gango book, Buddhism Reference, my annotated Threefold Lotus Dharma Sutra book. They're all listed in the join. So take a look, take a moment, click the button and see what's on offer. And if it works for you, we would be eternally grateful. We would be very grateful for the support to keep things going here. Okay? That's all I wanted to say. And thank you, as always, for your support, just being here, liking and subscribing. And if you're already buying ebooks and purchasing other books, you're part of the Sangha and you're supporting. So thank you for that, right? But look for that join button, right? Just check it out, see if it works for you. If I don't get much action on it, well, I'll discontinue it. But at least it's not interrupting every darn video, is it? So, so it's just another way for you to participate in keeping us afloat. Thanks again. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Enjoy the video.